Welcome to Modern Entrepreneur. I'm Landon Ray. Today we have Chris Winfield. To put it simply, Chris Winfield, aka the Super Connector, gives entrepreneurs an unfair advantage when it comes to getting more publicity, making connections, and taking their marketing efforts to the next level. He's worked with people from many of the world's best-known companies, including Disney, Virgin, Macy's, Viacom, Condé Nast, Intuit, and NBC. He's been featured in the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, NBC's Today Show, USA Today, Fast Company, Forbes, and hundreds of other media outlets. Thanks so much for being here, Chris.
Thank you.
Awesome. So you've had some success in publicity over the years. How long have you been doing it?
15, 16 years, so not just publicity. So I've always used publicity to grow. So I had like a digital marketing agencies, other businesses, and publicity was always the thing, one of the things. Publicity and connecting, networking, referrals from people were always like the two main drivers of all my companies.
Right. Interesting that digital marketing companies would grow via not digital marketing, right?
Exactly.
Like we did the same thing, actually, one of the most powerful marketing platforms on the planet. And for the first 7 years of our company growth, it was 100% referrals.
All referrals?
Yeah, we didn't even know how to do marketing for ourselves.
Which is a good thing.
Well, it's good to also
it's good
be
that
able
you're
to do
still around.
marketing. Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of people who say that. I don't even know how to do marketing, and they're telling you from like the unemployment line.
Yeah.
So this is a much different circumstances. So
Exactly.
I'm happy that it worked out.
Awesome. So, so you've had a lot of success, 15 years, doing a bunch of stuff in marketing, PR. If you could go back and talk, give your early self a bit of advice on what would make it easier or faster or less painful, what would it be?
I would have bought a lot of domain names.
Seriously?
Just kidding. Hindsight's 2020. So I think one of the biggest things, and I'm going to talk about this a bit today during my presentation, but there was a big period of time, a few years, where I thought that simply just connecting with people online and simply being behind, a keyboard or whatever was the same. I fooled myself into thinking that's the same as developing real relationships in real life. So I would, in terms of the networking, connecting side, that's one of the biggest things that I would say. It's so important. That's why like events like this are so crucial, and I think they're just so important for people because you get to actually meet somebody. So we're going to have a 10-minute conversation, and we'll be closer, hopefully, at the end of this than going back and forth for 2 years on email or social media or whatever. Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest things. I think it's becoming more and more important now. So I'd say for those like few years where I really just was focused on just being, I don't even know what it was, growth or whatever, but it did not. It's like the things that don't scale are sometimes the most important.
Isn't that interesting? So I think that's actually the hitting the nail on the head is that so many of us, we're focused on scale, and that's the right thing. Yeah. But we're also, kind of got sold for a minute on this idea of the digital marketplace, and that like the humanity is all going to be taken out of it, and that anything that actually takes a minute of my time is no longer scalable, and so we got to focus on something else, and it seems like we're like coming around a little bit, right?
Yeah, I like that. I like that you said that. Like you feel the guilt almost of doing something that isn't perfectly optimized or perfectly productive, or especially this landscape where everything has to be hacked and growth hacked and
measured even.
Measured, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's so many of these things that you just can't measure.
Yeah.
That's why I like that you guys do this, that you bring all these people together, that you make such an investment in it, because these are the things that you're building up the goodwill, and you don't know where, if that's going to be direct ROI from, you have the direct ROI directly from here, but there could be stuff that comes 2 years, 5 years down. Yeah, exactly. Going back to that unemployment line. Good point.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, we don't stop doing it because we know that it creates something that can't be measured, right?
Exactly. The invisible ROI.
It's the same reason we launched the magazine, right? Like people think that it's crazy for a company to invest the resources and the money. It's expensive to print and mail a magazine, but and it's not, of course, the same thing as being in person, but it's definitely different than pixels, right? And it feels like there is something that's missing in terms of like, the reality of that there's a person on the other side.
That's the big thing, exactly. And that was another one of my big realizations, was for a long period of time where I was really just focused on what could I get from something. So if I was sitting down with you, I'd want to figure out what I could do to get something from you, for me. And one of my biggest realizations, this unfortunately or fortunately, this realization had to come through a lot of pain and losing a lot of things, but was just this, I just had this epiphany where I was just like, you know what, I'm not gonna look for me anymore. I'm gonna look for what can I do to help other people. So whoever I'm sitting down with, and that was one of the things, I started meeting with somebody every single day. This is about 4.5 years ago. Just sat down, met with somebody every single day and just trying to answer one question. What can I help them with? Like over and over and over. And that's all I really do now, is just trying to figure out the answer to that question for people. I think that's another thing that becomes for me like what I consider an unfair advantage, is just helping somebody else, because most people are thinking the other side. Everyone's so concerned with themselves.
Interesting. So what do you think your kind of unique skill set is?
My unique skill set, I would say, is just being able to quickly connect with people and then connect dots for people. So my favorite quote is the Steve Jobs quote where he says, you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. So I like to find out about people, and if I can connect them, I can figure out these little tiny tweaks that they need to make that can make a huge difference for their business and hopefully for themselves. And then the main thing that I'm looking to always do is like, who can I connect them with? Who are the people that I can connect them with to really just have exponential growth? So something that can maybe takes me 30 seconds can save them 6 months of time.
And so right now your current primary business is a PR agency?
Focus around PR, yeah, exactly.
And so in order to grow that business, you're primarily meeting people.
Each month we do these dinners, influencer media dinners, where we bring together top people in the media. So my thing is connecting entrepreneurs to the media, making it really simple. I think a lot of people have big blocks around getting publicity or getting media coverage, and the thing that I've learned even more so now is that the media especially, they need sources, they need good stories, they need good people more than ever. Now, they want to hear from people less than ever because they're so deluged with stuff over and over all day long. So by, again, having real relationships, having people where they know, where I'm coming from, and anyone that I'm going to connect them with is going to be a good person, is going to be somebody interesting, is going to most likely be somebody with a good heart. It makes everything so much easier. And I think that's like one of the things, again, just simplifying things, bringing it back to this level of, life is about relationships for the most part. That's really what we're taking back. So
yeah. So you think that for the people who are watching this who are not obviously PR companies, which is most of them, that having a monthly dinner is like a model that can work? Or how do you? I mean, I hate to go back and now say how do you scale this, but how do you?
Well, so it doesn't even have to be dinner. It can be getting people together for a breakfast or lunch, whatever. That's one thing. But I'd say even before any of that, I think for most of the times we usually have whatever we need right in front of us, but we overlook it. So whether that's like our greatest strength, whatever that is, we usually are like, who cares about that? Because it comes easy to us.
Right.
But I also believe the same thing with like connections or networking or media coverage. And what I always recommend for people to do, whatever it is, whether they want to raise money, whether they want to get media coverage, whether they want to, find people to manufacture a product, sit down and create this list of like your top 20 people. So the top 20 people in your network. So let's say it's about media. So who are those people that can potentially connect you to somebody, or maybe are in the media? And they don't have to have anything to do with your business. So you could be sitting in Iowa and maybe it was somebody that you went to school with, or somebody that, is like at your kid's school and, that has like a distant whatever. But like you figure out all these things, you give them 2 scores, how influential they are, and then how likely are they to help you. And at the end of the day, you look at that and then you add those up. So for example, I know the guy who owns the New York Times. He's, he has probably a 9 in terms of influence, probably a 7 in terms of wanting to help me if I had asked him for something. I know Will Smith, probably a 10 in terms of influence. I know him hardly,
Will
for like
Smith
a week.
More than the guy who owns the New York Times?
Well, here's the thing. Will Smith would probably be a 1 in terms of like actually helping me. So I'd go to the guy who owns the New York Times, Arthur, way before I'd go to Will Smith or anything like that. So point being, there's a lot of these things that are just right within, that we have. And just by making it really, really simple and just taking one action, reaching out to that person, figure out one thing you can do for them before you're asking them for anything. Again, doesn't really scale, but the effects and the results are so much greater than, trying the latest tactic or, some great subject line to get somebody to answer something.
Yeah, I totally hear you. So what's kind of next for you? What are you struggling with or wrestling with or trying to figure out right now in your business?
I very rarely work with people one-on-one. Like, what I try to do is figure out how I can teach groups of people. So I do these workshops, these events where I teach people how to do the stuff that I do, and then introducing them directly to media people so that they get the relationships, and then here's how to now leverage all of that stuff. So my greatest thing is figuring out how to do that on keep doing that on a larger scale without losing the intimacy or the actual connection.
Are you figuring it out?
I don't feel like I ever have anything figured out.
It is. It's
like that constant transition. I was just talking I was at a dinner last night with one of the other speakers here, and I said, do you feel like you're always in transition? She's like, yeah, because she was saying, I'm in the middle of a whole bunch of things, so it's, I think it's all about enjoying the journey.
Yeah, it's got to be. So you're a young guy. You got a long career ahead of you still, but when you think ahead, 20, 30 years, whatever it might be, and if you were to look back, what would you like your legacy to be?
You know the saying, you're the average of 5 people you spend the most time with?
Yeah.
So what I'm looking to do is help to increase other people's averages. So if I can make somebody's day a little bit better, I know that they're going to be a little bit better to the people closest to them, and it's just exponential effect.
So when you say you try to be a little bit better every day, is that like a conscious thing? Like, I was not so good at X yesterday, I'm going to be better at that, or what is it?
One of my big realizations is the healthier I am, the better I am, the better my mind is. I always say I work really hard to make my life easy. So doing this stuff like, waking up at 5 a.m. and meditating and reading and journaling and these types of things, just to constantly keep trying to improve a little tiny bit. So the hard stuff that makes everything else easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we call this thing Modern Entrepreneur. We're trying to get at what is unique about this moment, right? Everything has changed so much in the last couple of decades. So when you think about 2017, almost 2018 now, what do you feel like is the kind of unique opportunities or even the unique responsibilities of being an entrepreneur today?
So people's attention spans are becoming less and less, as we all know, hopefully. And people are also deluged with a lot of negativity. So what I'm seeing is the people that authentically, and I hate using words like authentically, but it's true, that care, and you can't fake it.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are winning.
People's bullshit detectors are just getting super sensitive, huh?
Exactly, and it's almost like if some things that just used to work just stopped, literally overnight.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. It's
Thank
been a
you.
pleasure. Will
Definitely.
you sign our wall?
Of course, I'd
Awesome.
love to.